look like in next 1.5 hours? Okay, let's take a bigger picture. So basically, every business doing a product development or catering to market has a goal of basically they want to increase their net profit, they want ROI on the investments they're doing, and they want to make sure they don't get into trouble and the cash flow is managed well. And to achieve this business goal, basically any software product development organization would like to basically would like that their whatever features or releases or projects they're doing, they go to market as early as possible so that they can basically they can get the revenue out of it as early as possible. Every business knows that if the quality of the product they're shipping out in the market or quality of the service they're giving in the market, if it's not good, they will lose the market. So the quality is at most important, and that's always kept in mind. And from an operational standpoint, every business wants to make sure to be profitable, their costs are under control, and they want to reduce cost over time and improve their operational efficiency so that the profit margins increase. So basically, what we're saying is that from a business standpoint, if there's an uninterrupted flow of product deliverables to the market, your business should reasonably do well in an environment as far as the business model is correct. So what you see on the right basically is a automobile manufacturing plant, and basically all I want to convey here is that I know today software is not at a point where things smooth as fast as assembly lines, but I think it has to reach this point someday or the other, and I think that day is not very far. So I agree. The software R&D is not. We cannot compare software R&D to manufacturing plant, but it's well understood that the code you write is very domain specific, and it's very domain specific, and it needs an intellectual skill to do it. But there are a lot of operational aspects of software product development, like the way a document or way a requirement moves from one function to another, or once the way the code is built and converted into your binaries, and how that binaries get packaged into packages, and then how they get shipped out to the market and gets installed. I think there's a good degree of operational element which can be automated, and that can take a shape of an assembly line like this, which is not very far. So basically, I think all I want with this slide, all I want to convey with this slide is basically this is a big picture we need to keep in mind when we look at software development for our products and for our services. So basically, if you look at the environment for our products, it's changing quite a lot. The customer expectations are increasing, so they want frequent releases, but nothing should break. The quality, availability, reliability should remain the same. The products are getting complex. Basically, there are multiple platforms today we have to support these products. There are different form factors these products are supporting. They need to work on different browsers, and that brings in a lot of overheads in terms of the operational overheads, in terms of packaging, in terms of deployment, in terms of number of environments to manage, in terms of number of environments to test on. So that is putting a lot of communication and collaboration overheads between different cross-function teams to make sure what comes out is a collaborative effort, and it's a quality which every function has given their due diligence, and it comes out a quality deliverable from each standpoint. So I think there's the legacy is this increasing large complex uh, cross-functional product teams. The product teams are getting complex. There are distributed teams which increases the overhead. And I think so far the Agile and Scrum were pushing agility while operation teams want stability. So DevOps, I think we'll look at what DevOps is to bring the collaboration, integration, and communication between these teams. So basically the project and product team, the product have a lot longer uh, life cycle than a product. So than a project. So basically what we work on is a project. Project could be a feature which your teams are working on. Project could be a release which your teams are working on. But there's a lot of effort which goes before this project and after this project, which needs uh, which needs to be kept in account. So the project when gets released out in the market in, let's say, 2.1 release, there's the operation teams work on it to release it to the market. The users use it, and there's a lot of feedback which comes in, and that feedback is looked at by product management, and they plan subsequent releases, or they get enhancement requests and stuff like that. So all we're trying to convey is basically, in larger scheme of things, there are a lot of inbound and outbound activities happen for a product to function. A product it's not just one project. There are a series of projects which run to make it successful in the market. Okay, so now having said that, basically from an organization function standpoint, there are different teams who work on this product. If there's for a new product launch, basically there's a market research which happens, where you listen to your customers, you do a research, you come up with a concept. The product management comes up with a concept, works with the executive team to kind of present the business case and get approval on budget and resources, and once that happens, that's a project which gets kicked off, and then we as engineering work on that project, and then we build a product and give it out to service to install, upgrade, and support that team, that product. But the story doesn't end here. Now the challenges actually start from here, where there's a feedback which is coming from market in terms of changing demands in what they need and what competitors are doing. But there's also a feedback which is coming from your service team and sales team in terms of what we need on these products. So basically all I'm trying to convey with this slide is there's a lot of different functions in the product organization which work together to make a successful product which can delight users, or which can make the customers happy. And in each of these functions use different tools, different systems and tools to work together to make all this happen. So what we saw was a functions for a product organization. Similarly, a service organization have different functions. Now what you see here is there's in addition to a product, you may have some IT needs in your organization, or let's say someone like GE or Apple may have some IT needs in their organization. They listen to the users and then come up with some of the, let's say, ERP needs, or they want ALM needs. They listen to the users and they come up with the statement of work which they want to get it developed. Either they form the engineering team within their organization, or they outsource it to the service companies, saying this is what we need. The service companies work on these requirements to deliver the service. But I think if you see carefully from an engineering standpoint, or product or the the software development standpoint, the engineering functions more or less remain the same. You still need to elaborate requirements. You still need to do coding. You need to do tests. You need to deliver those requirements out in the market. So if you just look little deeper look into the product development function, there's a lot of things which are happening inside. So there's a requirement analysis, requirement mapping, user story creation, and each of these have special workflows. Each of these have special tools which these teams use to do their work and deliver the product out in the market. So basically, what we looked at so far is the product organizations are complex. There are too many functions. There's a lot of communication which need to happen between different functions, all the way to production where the product gets released. Now, what is DevOps? Basically, DevOps is a culture of collaboration, integration, and communication between different cross-functional teams, including ops. If you see the picture on the bottom right side, this is how the software development has evolved over time. We were doing waterfall. We were doing where we were having releases of maybe a year and a couple of months to elaborate requirements, few months to do coding, some months to do testing and stuff like that. Then we evolved to iterative, where we started doing all of these in 8 weeks or 2 months, and then came Agile and Scrum, which said we need to do even shorter life cycle, where we do weekly sprints or every 2 week sprint, where we do all of these within that sprint, where we do requirement elaboration, coding, testing, all of these within the sprint. But what was happening in Agile was we're running 5, 7, 8 sprints, and then at the end we used to deploy it on production or to the user systems. Now, in today's world, basically we're saying for a continuous delivery, we need to go out on the production as soon as possible. Basically, in your 2 week sprint, you need to deploy it on production as well. So that brings in all together new challenges, because if you see traditionally, now from a development standpoint, the agility has evolved to a good degree, but our operations team are still not that agile. So basically, development team wants agile, where they want to build stories and give it out as soon as possible, as in as short period as couple of weeks. While production wants stability, they have to respond to. They want to make sure it works, nothing breaks, and this whole effort of communication, collaboration, and integration between the development organization or agile organization and the operations is basically what DevOps is. So effectively, what DevOps is doing all of this together, including operations. So from an operational standpoint, basically, if we go back to our previous slide of the manufacturing plant, someone needs to always look at the big picture, saying how my plant is functioning, how my software development is functioning. Are there any bottlenecks in the process today which I need to address? And those, whatever is the bottleneck, need to be addressed as soon as possible. So there could be operational issues, like there's a way someone is waiting for, teams are waiting for each other, or there are quality issues, or there are management control issues. All these needs to be identified and addressed as soon as possible. So yeah, there's this book called Phoenix Project, which talks about the operational aspects of DevOps, where there's an IT organization uh, which is struggling to release their product, and basically this book is more from CIO and the discussions which happen between CEO and CIO on how to fix those operational issues. How do we get the product out in the market, and what they do from an operational standpoint to identify the constraints and fix them in a timely fashion. I would highly recommend you guys to read this book. I think it should give a good perspective. Okay, so basically there are a lot of scaled agile frameworks, and I just took one of them to give you a perspective. So this is more or less a same picture what we saw in other slides of functions. What you see here, sorry. What you see at the top is a portfolio management, which is actually prioritizing uh, different concepts or different ideas or different projects which get proposed by cross-functional teams. They kind of compare the business value which each of these initiatives could create, and they load these projects. Basically, they approve these projects, and there's a program team which is managing multiple of these projects to make sure whatever is approved by the business or the portfolio gets released on time. And then the traditional agile teams are at the bottom. So basically, from our perspective, DevOps is managing all of these operations in a seamless way, where these agile teams, agile release trains which you see, they always, like metro, these trains start on time and they reach their destination on time, and there should always be a continuity of one train leaves on time and the other one comes on the station on time. So, and if you see, basically in each agile release team, there's a DevOps team. That basically is an automation or an operational team which makes sure someone is looking at the operational aspect on time and automating redundant things on time to make this happen. Okay, I think I'll move a little fast because we want to keep good time for the technology side of things. Okay, so pillars of DevOps, basically integration, collaboration, and communication. So development team and operation team and the rest of the organization need to be culturally aligned, supported by right technology and right process. So from an integration standpoint, there needs to be a DevOps mindset. Basically, people need to believe that it's a one team working towards one goal. The decision making there needs to be collective decision making, because everyone is contributing to the success of towards the common goal of the product or the service they're working on. The team needs to be empowered to take these decisions, and there should be a healthy attitude about failures. If we are saying we want to go early, there'll be times when the releases may not be good, and there should be healthy attitude to fix those issues on time and make sure we derive enough learnings from those failures and bring learning in the process to make sure it doesn't happen again. From a technology standpoint on integration, basically you need tools, requirement tools, development tools, test tools, deployment tools integrated so that there's a constant stream of things. Infrastructure management needs to be integrated. There's a traceability and integrated dashboard so that you get enough visibility from a technology standpoint to make sure things are moving in smoothly. And from a process standpoint, you need to have cross-functional processes and workflows, and automate things which are repetitive, which can add value to the overall flow of things. From a collaboration standpoint, I think every perspective is important. The whole different cross-functional teams are working towards common goals. They need to collaborate to make sure what comes out is of good quality. They need to collaborate early in the cycle. For each of these deliverables, we need to have culture where there are periodic reviews, and once the deliverable is complete, there are adequate collaboration happening on it, and there are sign-offs on it. From a technology side, you need collaboration tools to make this happen. The collaboration on code, collaboration on infrastructure, collaboration on binaries, collaboration which supports distributed teams, and collaboration from a technology which allows these sign-offs. Okay, so communication, basically communication is a flow of information between teams. So there needs to be open flow of information. If there are decisions taken which has impact on other teams, people need to pick up phone or email or use instant messages to communicate that. And the communication need to happen both ways, top down, bottom up, or peer to peer. Communication need to happen periodic. Everyone needs to be kept informed on what needs to be done. On the technology side, I think there are centralized systems where all information is collected, automatic notification to impacted parties, automated dashboards, reports to keep everyone in sync. And from a process standpoint, there are defined metrics to measure progress. The defined communication mechanisms so that there are no communication errors, and defined escalation mechanisms. Okay, I think I took little longer than I was supposed to, so at this point I'll hand over the presentation to Uday to talk on to give you a summary on technology side of DevOps.
Thanks, Surinder. I think everyone got a good overview on why DevOps and what is DevOps and what are the multiple perspectives. So I'll next 30-35 minutes I'll cover on DevOps technology overview. So what we think is the DevOps technology, because the word DevOps is a buzzword, and everyone have their own definitions of DevOps. So I'll start with the topic of like a project or artifact where the project gets initiated and there are a lot of artifacts generated. It could be the software code, or it could be the binaries of the software where it could be deployable, and it could be even the infrastructure on which OS the software has to be installed. So all these are part of artifacts. So configuration management evolved in order to store these or replicate these artifacts, and the change is constant. Like you see here, the upgrades, or whether it's a product upgrade or it could be an application upgrade in a for IT service industry. So there will be changes, and it could be new features, defects, or enhancements. So the artifacts will be keep changing. So first generation of configuration management is more about a version control system, and the second generation evolved how to do this change control around change management and requirements management and probably the defect management. Okay. So what are all the different artifacts that by and large, and how to keep? Like there are source code management systems, and there are repository management systems, and there are document management systems. So in order to get at high level what they are, we have just given some products which are little popular in terms of like market share. So where is ALM evolved? So the ALM, it's more of a renaming of configuration management is what we believe. But okay, the main what are all the problems with configuration management? Whatever was existing was like it's more of a IT operations focused. and traceability was very tedious, and visibility was not there, and there is no collaboration or communication platform which is integrated part of this. For suppose you have a clear case, on clear case tool, can you collaborate with another developer? It was not possible. So you have to do the collaboration, everything outside, and then whatever the changes are going in, only that source code was what. But now if you see the generation of tools, whatever is coming, like Git or like Atlassian wrapper over Git is Stash, it has beautiful collaboration and communication platform which is integrated on top of Git. So that's where probably the beginning of ALM came, and it is called as application lifecycle management, and I have seen some people calling this as application development lifecycle management. It's more of a supervision of your software application from its initial planning through the retirement. So it is the complete lifecycle which has to be covered, and where you can actually track all your changes, what is happening to you, the software application. It should be documented and tracked. Basically, if you compare with configuration management to this, you're shifting your focus from IT operations to the complete organization, which covers the complete SDLC. So this is the high-level view of ALM and their tools. So starting from the requirement management, so developer writes the code and he checks in the code to the source code management, and then there will be a build engineer who will actually do the build, and he develops the software package and give it to the operations team, and operations team actually deploy that, and they will prepare the environment for the testers to execute their test cases, and these testers actually take input from the BAs or the product managers or product owners to come up with the test cases, and once they say that everything is fine, so they provide a sign-off which will become eventually a product or application release. And from there onwards, the service team will take care, where they'll be working with customers in terms of if there are any issues, it will come back as incidents which has to be incorporated to the next cycle of your software release. So we have captured who are all the different vendors or the providers coming up with this ALM technology along with the tool sets. So Atlassian is, like Surinder specified, we are the partner of Atlassian. So they have the tools more or less to all the ALM knowledge areas, whatever we captured in our earlier slide. In the interest of time, I'll just glimpse through this. So there are other vendors like IBM, HP are very popular, and Microsoft also, they are considered as one of the leaders. Serena, Rally, the other. There are other companies which we have not captured. I'll take through the continuous integration and continuous delivery, and how it will get, basically what is the integration of this to the ALM big picture is what I'll take you through. So it starts with the SDLC, so requirements are there, the development, and there is a version control system on build and unit testing. So the test, integration testing and user acceptance testing and release. This is the normal cycle. So how fast you can get the feedback is the critical thing in the DevOps space. So if you see, from every stage there is a provision to get the feedback. So continuous integration is nothing but developer checks in, and as and when there is a problem, the feedback he should get it, and only the code which is successful, the code reviewed, and it has been like okay, passed the unit test, will go for the next phase. Okay. CI is the continuous integration. So it starts from basically developer doing the change, taking the requirement and coming up with the software code, which will check into the repository. So this repository should be, or the application should be good enough in terms of notifying other software users such that the changes can be accommodated by the other developers. Okay, and the build should be triggered. So the continuous integration triggers for the build can be like there will be captured here around 4. One is the build server will be polling the SCM system. So as and when there is a change, a code checked in on some branch, the build can be kicked off, or it could be a scheduled build, like there could be nightly builds or there could be weekly builds, whatever the scheduling one can configure. But yes, there is a pattern to do that build. And for suppose there is a dependent application got built and now you need to rebuild your application. So that could be another trigger. And the fourth trigger could be like it's a manual, it could be a manual build or at a stage of your life cycle. So for in terms of waterfall, like okay, you have consolidated defects or releases of features which you want to get it released at this point of time. So you want a separate build to be done. So apart from all these things, you can have your own build. So your continuous build server will be able to do all these things on its own, and then it should take the help of the build tools to build by connecting to your repository, and then even have a provision to do the unit testing. Like there can be static code analysis tools which can be integrated. So if there is a problem with your code, so at that point of time you can get the feedback, and if at all it passes that, then you go to actually the package, and the package will be given to the deployment management teams. Okay, there is a basically CA is not only at one layer. All we want to portray here is integration is at multiple layers. Like there can be an application development from for a desktop user, there can be for an iPad user, or there can be for the mobile user. All we want to convey here is there is a lot of complexity involved. When you are doing the development for one application, it could mean that it has to fit into the other applications as well. So how easily you can actually scale up the development to the other parts is what we want to convey here. So what are all the CA tools available in market? So we captured like open source tools to the paid tools. So you can see Jenkins is more of an open source tool, and Bamboo is more of a paid tool, and you can see the rest of the tools. So what are all the factors to choose the CA tools? We have captured a couple of factors, and we did a comparison with the Jenkins, Bamboo, and Cruise Control. So in the interest of time, I will not be going through all this deck, but I wanted to give a glimpse of there has to be factors in selecting your CA tool. Primarily, like if you see there are like notification, what are all the build tools it support, reporting, GUI, static code analysis, scalability, documentation, license, and integration. Now, what is continuous deployment? Coming back to our original slide where we have started. So once the build is, it passes the testing unit test and the package is ready. So that's where the continuous deployment comes. Either it could trigger the test automation, or it could trigger the automation user acceptance testing, or it could be, I have not captured the manual testing here. You can replace the test automation with manual testing, or it could, once the UAT testing is done, okay, you can have one more level of deployment. So continuous deployment plays a role in all these phases is what we wanted to tell here. And the deployment lifecycle is once the software package is ready from the CI. So what are all the high level phases you have? So one is like you get the required machine along with the OS, and then you install the third party like database, app servers, whatever is needed. Then you really deploy your application code or the test data to populate in order to do the testing. So we captured here earlier how it was, and currently what are all the different options you have in this space. So once the system is ready, they will notify the deployment team, will notify the it to testing team, where either you can do the test automation trigger automatically there and the manual testing. So based on the test results, failure will get back to the developer and success will get back to basically the next stage of what has to be done in the cycle. By and large, these are all the tools. So now infrastructure provisioning is like Vagrant, Amazon, Docker, and automation side you have Cobbler, Foreman, and configuration automation, Chef, Puppet, Ansible, and SaltStack. These are basically infrastructure configuration management tools. They are getting very, very popular. Basically, these tools are now being called as primarily as a DevOps tools. So we did a comparison in terms of like what are all the other factors across. So based on your need, one should be able to select their tool which fits their organizational needs. So combining the CA and CD is what we are calling as DevOps engineering tools. So this is the big picture where you have a CA plus CD tool similar to like Jenkins or Bamboo, which actually does the orchestration of all these whatever we have captured, whether it could be version control systems, build or code analysis, and then once the package is ready, it's to the repository management, and then it handovers to the deployment. And you have again here 3 layers, like you can use infrastructure processing and container platform or infrastructure configuration management. So we have even given some at high level what are all the different tools available in this space for the knowledge area, whatever we have captured. The continuous quality, I'll not spend much time, but all we wanted to convey here is the unit testing, what you do, and the integration testing or the test automation suite and user acceptance testing, all this becomes your continuous quality element. Okay, so for DevOps, you need continuous integration, continuous deployment, and continuous quality as well, such that your stream of operations are not stopped at any point of time. And I want to now go through like how whatever the concept we have covered, how they fit into the ALM and as a DevOps platform. This is more for the development, whether it's a Agile, Scrum or Waterfall, it doesn't matter. So you need all these different systems, and you have basically integration points for all these. So as per DevOps, basically you need integrations. So how good is your integration will play a lot of role in terms of streamlining your operations. So these are all the integrations we have captured, and one should see not only the integration opportunities here, there are opportunities even to automate here. For suppose the source code management system has something called as a branching. So your branching is more tightly integrated to your project or your product strategy. So what product line you are going to release. So it's very tightly coupled. But right now what happens is a lot of people, once the project or project kicked off, they actually go and spend in terms of like, okay, what are all things we should do on the source code management system, and this would be communicated to your development team that, okay, you have to check in this branch. This is how this project will get executed. So our idea is this has to be tightly integrated, and they need to be even automated to the extent that the branching strategy should be auto-created once you decide that, okay, we are going to kick off the new project. Okay. So next point is around ALM for CA. So how does the continuous integration and what are all the integration points are needed, whether the developer ideally should be integrated to your source code management such that he should like he should be able to check in, and he should be able to even do the development build on the system. It could be a CI server, and that build, the unit testing could be performed in the IDE itself. So there are like Dockers or these container technologies are coming now. Basically, there is a shift here in terms of like how to keep the product equivalent environment or production keep equivalent environment on the developer itself, such that most of our issues get identified at the earlier stage, so that he should be able to fix those issues during the development cycle itself. Okay, so the next is continuous deployment. So you can see basically the build management, deployment management, and the project release management, and the integration points here. And then the continuous testing or continuous quality part. So again, it's a project release management, deployment management, and test management. So now, what is the continuous delivery is how constantly you are releasing the application software or the product software to the users or to your customers is actually continuous delivery. So we want to differentiate the term from continuous deployment to continuous delivery. Clearly, that's where we wanted to capture this. So you can see the integration points captured here, and the real orchestrator should be your project or release management system. Like in our case, if we go with Atlassian Jira, it should play, or it will have the crux role in bringing all these integration, communication, and collaboration aspects along with all the tools, such that operational issues will be like overcome, such that your continuous delivery is smooth. So you can see, if you combine all these things, basically the integrated ALM is the DevOps platform. And apart from, so apart from all these things, basically you need to take care of your security, logging, and monitoring of all these various tools in the ALM space. So that's what will become your DevOps platform. Okay, so what do you get once you incorporate this technology in your organization? You can be compliant to your compliance teams and or the regulatory teams, whatever you call, and your collaboration will get improved, and your integration or integrated environment, what you get it, and the visibility would get improved to your complete organization. It becomes much more transparent. So no one, the meetings will automatically get reduced, and you get the traceability across. So right from your requirement, how and which software release the bug or the requirement has been fixed, you can get it without any manual effort, because all the integrations are already in place. So that's it from my side. I'll hand over it to Surinder.
Thanks, Ray. I think you did quite well on time. Okay. So let's see what we've covered so far. So we covered why DevOps, we covered what is DevOps, all at high level. We gave a technology perspective on DevOps, again at high level. And I can see some questions coming on the demos, whether we'll be doing demos and stuff. So basically, the scope of this webinar is it's a primer. Basically, it's to give an overview of what DevOps is all about and how to do DevOps. So we will not be doing demos in this webinar specifically, but this is a series which we have started. It will be followed by kind of demos of some specific areas like CI, then there could be CD, and there could be something on the infrastructure management. So you will get a flavor of those and opportunity to ask questions on that front. So now, and then we'll address the rest of the questions at the end of the webinar. We still have one section to cover on how to adopt DevOps. So basically, this is a question more from a senior management point of view, saying now if I want to bring in DevOps in my organization, or it may be we are already at some level of DevOps and we want to increase, we want to kind of bring maturity to the next level. Now, how do we do that? So that's the last section which we'll spend some time on. So basically, now you saw that there are a lot of there's a big element. Culture is a big element which you need to adopt DevOps, and it needs to be supported by process and technology. So basically, to adopt DevOps, the first thing which we need to be clear as management is what is the business objective you're trying to address. Is it what are the issues which you're seeing, or what are the challenges you're trying to address? And then so that challenge or that the need could be, I want to increase operational efficiency, or I want to the quality of my product is going down. I want to make sure that's retained, or it could be that I want today my release cycle is once every 6 months, and I want to bring it down to every week or every day. So basically, from a business side, we need to be clear what is the metric we're trying to address, and then set up a core team to give them a very clear charter on what they need to do, and then work with them to continuously improve and then measure and execute. So basically, from a DevOps adoption model, you basically need to follow a framework at a high level where you, as a management team, define, basically create a case for change, saying today we are like this, and this is where we are, and this is where we want to reach. Once you've defined, you kind of put a way to measure your success or failure, or to that matter. So basically, you need to put a measurement system saying this is the metric which I've taken in terms of I am saying time to market, and this is how I measure time to market. So does the time to market mean once the feature is loaded from portfolio and it gets released all the way to the market, or it means once the feature is loaded in the first sprint and from there when it goes. So that measure of success needs to be defined, saying this is the time. It could be anything. So and then in a measure phase, you basically also try to operationalize or automate to whatever degree you can. And once you define what you want to do from a DevOps standpoint, and then you define how will you measure the success, that's where you get into the crux of analysis phase, where your core team is constantly working to see what your bottlenecks are, or what your constraints are, or where the whole flow is not coming in place, and they address those constraints. And then once you identify what you need to address, you are actually in improve phase. You kind of creating a small project and giving it to a small task force, saying now this is the area which we need to fix. That could be saying it is taking too long it could be our deployments are taking too long, or provisioning a machine is taking too long, and then you create a separate task force to address that in terms of putting in right culture, putting in right process, and putting in right technology to fix that. And then constantly you keep identifying where the bottlenecks are and slowly adopt those, than saying now I want to go full DevOps way. And once that POC project or that project is successful with the task force, you need in control phase, basically you need uh, to figure out a way to roll it out to the rest of the product organization or rest of the organization. So basically, this is a standard Six Sigma DMAC process which can be applied here. And then to drive change, basically you need a strategy to deliver change, and you need a driving. Basically, you need a core team which will be responsible for doing this. So to summarize, basically, yeah. So there's a DMAC. There are some outcomes which are expected at each phase before you proceed to the next one, and the analyze, improve, and control basically is a repetitive thing which keeps moving. So at the end of define, basically you quantifying your goals and objectives, and you creating a team and giving them these goals, saying this is what I want you to achieve. These are the some of the activities which can happen within. And in measure phase, basically you are baselining your project team or product team or your organization, saying that this is my current maturity level, so you know where you are. From the goals in the define phase, you know where you want to go, and in measure phase you also kind of set up a measurement system to measure your DevOps metrics. And in analyze, you basically, like I spoke earlier, you kind of analyzing the current system, current process, current technology, current best practices to see where the bottlenecks are, how you can improve further, and kind of prioritize and identify areas which needs improve, and then kick off small projects, improvement projects within the organization to execute those. These are more like your pilot projects. You can identify one of the teams where you will run these projects, and once these projects are successful, you put together a plan in the control phase to roll it out to rest of the organization. And if you see from a timeline standpoint, if you have a right consultant working with you, right DevOps consultant working with you, define and measure could take a few weeks, while real improvement you could start seeing as you get into analyze, and the real results, basically it could take somewhere between 8 months to 12 months to start seeing improvements, incremental improvements over time. So this is basically a typical DevOps adoption model which we practice. It's our delivery model which we practice with our clients, and it has been working very well, which can be tried out. So just to give you a sample of how you, in measurement phase, I said basically you need to baseline where you are and where you want to go. So you'll need a basis to baseline yourself and baseline and to define where you want to go. So in DevOps world, basically, if you see there are 3 dimensions. There's how well your processes are defined, how well what are the tools you're using, and how well those tools are integrated, and what is the level of automation which is there on top of these tools. So I think those are the 3 factors which we use to measure the maturity level of a DevOps organization, basically to maturity level of an organization from a DevOps standpoint. So if you see basically an organization or a project or a product with broken process, scattered tool, and no automation is at level 1, while an organization which has a well-defined and managed process and controlled using metrics with DevOps constraint continuously monitored, and there's a good level of integration and automation in software releases, that's at level 4. And basically it's a sample model which we use to baseline the maturity levels. So yeah, before we close, I think so yeah, it's like I said, I think it's DevOps involves a major cultural change. So we need to keep, if you're part of the organization which is going through this change, we need to keep our expectations we need to manage our expectation in terms of we cannot expect the organization will change overnight if we be part of the management. And even if we are aggressive management, we cannot expect that we'll be able to change the entire organization over time. So yeah, just a word of caution. So that's the ends last slide on our content. So we thought of including one slide on what offerings we have around DevOps. So basically, we do multiple things. We do things on cultural side of things, on process side of things, on technology side of things. We do 2-day detailed workshop on DevOps awareness for the management of the core teams. We do 5-day workshop on DevOps assessments and making recommendations in terms of what could be a first plan of action for DevOps in terms of what could be a first few projects, and then work with your team to implement those projects. In general, we do DevOps consulting on the cultural side of things, on the process optimization, and on DevOps technology implementation around tools which we listed before. We also do some trainings on DevOps, basically on the ALM side, Atlassian suite training for admins. We do Git trainings, we do Jira admin trainings, we do Stash and Bamboo trainings, we do Jenkins trainings, we do Puppet and Chef trainings, and we do workshop on to give a detailed overview, kind of little more details on the DevOps toolkit, a lot more than what you saw today. I think we had to rush in today's webinar on when we were browsing through those tools, but there's a workshop which we can do where we can do a 2 or 3 days workshop where we get deeper into some of the identified tools. This will be a custom. Okay, so questions. I can see some questions are listed here. Okay. So first question is from Addte Krishnappa. In the new creative economy, the focus or a business goal is more of customer-centric than profit margins. How does DevOps helps in this? Yeah, I think yeah, we were saying the same thing effectively. Yes, the business leaders know that unless the customers are happy, they're not going to get the business, and then that's where I think we emphasize quite a lot on the quality aspect. But yeah, I think we also have to keep in mind that the business leaders are also kind of accountable to the business drivers in terms of they need to report to the stakeholders or the promoters and stuff like that. So their focus will their focus has to be on profit margins and revenue and stuff like that. But yeah, I agree. I think customer centricity is at the key, and that's where DevOps focus is. That's where DevOps focus is on time to market, quality, and operational efficiency. I hope I've answered your question. Usually, so one more question from Addte Krishnappa. Usually, Indian IT companies are into software services where work happens on customer environment, and vendor companies do not have all the flexible to introduce new tools or build a DevOps pipeline. How can you build DevOps for such teams?
Yeah, I'll take this question. So even basically, ultimate at the end of the day, these DevOps tools are bringing operation efficiency, and the objective of operation efficiency is to reduce the cost. So the business case or the need of these tools have to be communicated to the customer, and with what value they would get once they actually incorporate this kind of technology. Once this is communicated to the customer, I don't think any customer would come back and say, no, I want the cost way only rather than the cost effective way. I hope.
Right. I think the other, yeah, I agree, Uday. I think the other way of answering the question could be a lot of the product companies are end customer to these IT services companies, and a lot of these product companies, the end clients are adopting DevOps, and they want to make sure that all their suppliers, in this case IT companies, are aligned to the same process and same rigor they are adopting. And if, basically from their standpoint, if they are adopting DevOps and they want to release something very frequently, and their suppliers don't adhere to that, it effectively affects the overall flow. So basically, the other way of looking at it is there's a pressure which the IT companies are receiving today from the end clients to start adopting DevOps for operational efficiency and stuff like that. Okay. So next question is from Subhani Yelamakur. Will we be doing demo for DevOps? So Subhani, I think as you must have noticed, there are plenty of tools and technologies around DevOps, and covering all of these in one would have been difficult. So what we'll be doing is we'll be doing series of demos on some specific areas, and now we have your contact, so you'll be notified when we schedule new demos. But I think in the past we have done some webinars around this area. So we've done webinars on how on the Docker side of things, on Ansible side of things, on Jira as an orchestrator for the overall, not Jira, basically Atlassian Suite as an orchestrator for overall continuous delivery pipeline as a platform for DevOps. So those webinars you can find at the link which you can see on your screen. So, but yeah, I think in any new webinars we do specifically on technology, you will always receive the invite. Is this session getting recorded for offline later viewing? Yes, this is getting recorded. I actually pressed the record button few minutes late, so yeah, I think you might miss our introduction, but most of the content you'll be able to hear. So we'll be sending out the recording maybe in a couple of days or so, and we'll also upload it to YouTube and on our website soon. So there's a question. Okay, Bala Kakumani, very nice presentation. Can we get this PPT file through email? Bala, let me try. I have not given thought to it, but I think as we're putting webinar in a public space, I think we might be able to give you in some form. So yeah, let me not commit now, but I'll try. How this can be implemented for telecom apps development?
Okay, I'll take this question. So Narendra, I think whether it is telecom or healthcare, at the end of the day, basically what we are building is software, and the deployment could be different in the telecom space, especially the production side of deployment, where you might have a lot of cluster of towers or whatever the other things where you have to deploy. But I feel when the volume is a lot more higher, DevOps will bring a lot more value to your organization, because now things are streamlined. You should be able to do the automation deployment, and if at all things does not work, you can even roll back that quickly. So the objective is for any software application deployments or continuous delivery. So it should be as good as for telecom applications. Yeah, based on the regulatory needs, like I know healthcare has a regulatory needs in terms of like there has to be rigorous testing performed when you even upgrade, like an MR scanner, when you do an upgrade, you have to do a lot of rigorous testing. So the test automation and how good this test automation is validated to perform it on the customer side, once we figure out that puzzle, I don't see any different for any regulatory environment also.
I hope this answers your question, Narendra. Okay, next question is again from Addte Krishnappa. So who does this DevOps adoption? Is it the Scrum team or an external team should focus on this, or an entire organization? Okay, so yeah, I think that's a very good question. So I think, like I said, it needs to be driven from a business objective. So it's driven from the senior management, and I'll take an analogy of Agile here. So basically, like Agile came in few years back, around 8-10 years back, and when organizations had to adopt Agile, they I think over time they realized that it's a big cultural change uh, uh, which is required, and they need specialized skills to do it. And most of the organizations started forming basically as a part of their quality team or as a part of center core of excellence team. They started adding agile coaches to their team. I think the way we see it is over time, these core teams will have DevOps coaches, or these our agile coaches would basically upgrade to DevOps coaches, and some of the technical architects would upgrade to DevOps architects to bring in this change.
Yeah, I would just add basically the adoption wherever the team it is getting applied to. Basically, everyone should be adopted, though the driver can be from the management, because there will be a change in the way they would work, whether it could be culturally, or whether it could be process-wise, or whether it could be the tools or technology they would use from the earlier to today. I hope that answered your question.
Okay, I'll move to the next question. How this can be okay, the question is from Narendra Marikale. How this can be rolled out for large program impacting multiple projects or applications? I think my answer, probably I addressed this in the previous question as well. So I think it needs to be driven centrally. So it comes from business, it goes to the center core of center of excellence team or your center quality team, and it gets driven from there. You can basically choose to do it at program level or a product level or few identified levels, but yeah, you need whatever level of granularity you choose. It needs to be a central driving force we needs to have. Okay, next question is again from Addte Krishnappa. Maturity models and process models, are we releasing back to ISO and CMA error? I think I'll answer this in a little different way. So basically, we need a language to talk, right, within the organization where we are and where we want to, right? And a maturity model is more of a language. I think yeah, I've heard this resistance on maturity models earlier as well. So yeah, I think if your organization doesn't like the term maturity model, it's fine. Basically, we just need to have some communication mechanism saying where we are today and where we want to go. That could also be, let's say, if you're hiring a consultant like us to do this job, you also need a measurement around us saying you will take us from here to here. How will you measure our success if you hire a consultant like us?
Yeah, I'll add one more point. I think when you have to compare organizations across, so where do you stand? In order to do that standardization, you will end up in having the maturity model and basically the other, whatever the nomenclature. The objective is not to use some word which is not digestible. It's more to standardize across. That's it.
Okay, next question is from Saurabh Sahani. Are these trainings online or classroom? So basically these trainings are B2B trainings. These are classroom trainings done for the corporates where for a minimum batch size of 8 people. So these could be done at your basically on site at your company, or we could basically for a batch size of 8 to 10 we can handle it at our premises as well, or we can basically hire uh, something in a banquet hall or something. So, but yeah, these are basically classroom trainings for sure. Okay, next question is from Bala Kakumani. Can I get the schedule of trainings for Atlassian, Jira, Chef, and Puppet? So these are done on demand. So these are basically for corporates. We don't do B2C where we have constant batches running. But yeah, if your organization needs these trainings, we can always schedule one based on our availability and your availability. Okay, next question is from Anup Kathoth. When you talked about automation, is it required to stick on a single vendor tool, example IBM, Jazz, or CLM?
Yeah, my recommendation would be, yeah, you doesn't have to stick. You can choose the tools based on the knowledge areas, what is the right tool would suit your needs, organization needs. But at the same point of time, when you are selecting the tool, you need to even evaluate in terms of like how good it can be integrated to the other tools, whatever is needed, such that you don't face challenge in doing the integration. So it's not that individually the tool is good enough, but yes, in the overall organization tools fit whatever it is, it should be good enough even there. And IBM Jazz is more of a cloud-based environment where they talk about from the development side to the end of the deployment. So yeah, probably their integrating to other tool sets might be difficult because that's a confined model coming from IBM. But if you choose your on-premise installations of these tools, then you should be flexible enough in choosing the tools of different vendors. I have seen Atlassian Jira going with Jenkins very well. I hope it answered your question.
Okay. I think we started a few minutes. Okay, next question is from Sharad Durgawal. If you don't mind, is it possible for you to share this PPT? Like I said before, I've not thought about it, but so this webinar will be recorded and published, so you have it in some form at least. I'll try to see if we can kind of, if we can share it. How to address, okay, the next question is from Subhani Yelamkur. How to address situation where multiple vendors are involved? Implementing DevOps will be a challenge.
Yes, even if it's not multiple vendor, even single vendor implementing DevOps is definitely a challenge. But yes, organizations have to take right steps and identify the right vendors in implementing these things. So whoever the DevOps coach should have the adequate knowledge in terms of coordinating all these vendors to achieve the end goal, whatever the organization is looking for.
Right, and I think like the way we started, I think we need to keep the big picture in mind always for DevOps, and if we have the right big picture, I think the choice of technology which the CIO or the business head makes should be in the right direction. So yeah, Thresh, audience is still mute. I think yeah, for webinars we just to kind of control the overall flow in the interest of everyone, we keep audience mute all the time. Next question is from Amina Mubin. Introduction to DevOps in Agile project would increase the sprint cycle due to introduction of new tools. Has it been accepted by the clients?
I'm not sure why it would increase the sprint cycle. Usually, it should not increase the sprint cycle. Basically, in the DevOps technology, I kind of covered. One is on the Agile Scrum. So where does it stop? Basically, incorporating this DevOps engineering, CA and CD, it would reduce your deployment or the build cycle times, and effectively you should be able to shorten your sprint cycles if your build and testing and everything is actually part of your sprint.
Yeah, I think just to add, Amina, so basically I think the initial few sprints while you're adopting these tools may get impacted in terms of schedule or the what comes out of this, but once the team gets used to it, I think the overall efficiency and overall the cycle should come down. Next question is from Bala. Can I get the schedule of trainings along with the cost of Atlassian? So I think, as I said, these trainings are on need basis. So Bala, I'll probably after this one of us will get in touch with you to see what your needs are, and we can always put together. And then you can always send your request to sales@Addtech or santi@mgtech.com. We see a lot of complexity, especially when it comes to upgrade the tool set along with the integrations. Yes.
Yes, it is complex. That's where we actually tell, you need to basically hire consultants like us who can make it simple for your organization.
Right, and then see, we do it for multiple clients, so we know what works with what version, what doesn't, what break. So yeah, I think you learning in the process at the cost of your team's efficiency, probably, yeah. So yeah, you need someone who does it all the time. May I know what is a deployment tool? This question is from Arun Kumar.
Okay, I won't say it's a deployment tool continuous deployment orchestrator. Probably Jenkins or Bamboo will play a role of the orchestration of the deployment, and you have other tools either for the infrastructure provisioning. It could be a physical server, or it could be a VM internal cloud, or it could be external cloud like Amazon. And then on top of it, what all automations you can do. There are tool sets which I covered like Cobbler, Foreman, Chef, Puppet, Salt, Ansible, Dockers. So there are a lot of tools. You need to identify your need and what would exactly fit your organization to solve the problem, whatever you have in the deployment. Okay. It could be even custom automation scripts as well can solve the deployment problem.
Okay, I think we have a last question here from Priya Padmanabhan. So what will be the role of QA in DevOps when compared to Agile?
So I take this question as basically more of a manual integration testing. So I'm trying to choose my words. Okay. So in the DevOps world, basically we see at one point of time, if not right today, they get automated as much as possible. So the QA eventually will have to become a test developer. So they should be able to write the automated test cases, and the amount of knowledge in terms of like how to break the system, like the QA has, the developer will not have. So all that knowledge have to be transformed in terms of developing the test automation suite.
Yeah. So yeah, I think basically QA today in Agile world is giving feedback as early as possible, and based on their knowledge. And I think with in the world of DevOps, the QA will also contribute to kind of repeating that, kind of capturing that knowledge in the form of some automation, and in giving their input to operations team to make sure how the deployments can be better and how things can be more maintainable once they go out, because the QA basically is the first point of it's an internal user, and then from a user standpoint, what issues they face, I think they'll be able to give it better.
Yeah. I'll add one more point. Basically, I see still the QA who writes the test cases that part of their job would still remain there. But now the test cases will not feed to test execution, but rather it will feed to the test development.
Yeah. Okay. So we've covered all the questions. We are bang on time, so it's 4:30. So I thank you everyone for your kind attention and patience, and we will be doing more webinars in the future, and we'll keep you posted. And I would request you to please show a similar response. I see a very overwhelming response today. A lot of people paying attention all the way. People usually don't attend such a long webinars. I can see a lot of people still here. So thank you so much. Thanks for your time. It encourages us to do more of these and share our knowledge and perspective on DevOps. Thank you so much.